come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to base hit. Just as they score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Buffington. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back and throws. There's a long drive. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them away from their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings. Long drive. Left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
long drive to left field. Way back. This is it back.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a chance. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday, right? Yeah, this is Tuesday. I am your host, Dan Scott. We are just excited and ecstatic to have you with us here on the program today and hope that you'll enjoy what we've got for you over the course of the next hour. Our goal here on a daily basis is very simple. Well, and multifaceted. First of all, we try not to screw up ourselves. But more importantly, if you've got a good day going, we don't want to do anything to mess that up. And if not, then maybe something you'll hear, something we'll say will serve as a way to kind of kickstart things for you and make it a little bit better. The ultimate goal is for us to learn something we did not know when the show began. And I always qualify that it's easier for some of us than it is for others. I hope your Tuesday is going well. We are in the countdown towards Christmas Day, which is on Monday. Christmas Eve is on Sunday. And the madness in the retail world is beginning. I am falling in love more and more with online shopping. I really am. I know the security risks that go along with it. Try to take all the precautions that I can. I also realize that if someone steals my identity, they're probably going to give it back as quickly as they took it. So I've got that going for me. But the ability to find what I want on, let's say, Amazon.com and click, and in 2 days it's at the house, that's hard to beat. I am not a let's go out and fight the crowds type of person on anything, any day of the year, but especially during the Christmas time. Now, there's some things that you have to do. I understand that. And when there are children involved, or in my case, even more so now, grandchildren involved, there's a certain amount of that's going to be done. But I'm telling you, man, there's something to be said for being able to just to relax, point, click, and wait for it to be delivered to your house. And, they say that in the not too distant future, it won't even be people who will be delivering to your homes. It'll be drones who will be flying packages directly to your house. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that aspect of it or not. I do like some human contact. I just don't like, 500 people who are trying to get that last doll with the funny-looking hair that's the hottest item this season. I don't know how those things work. I've been through that before, and I did not like it. But anyway, however you go about your business, I hope that you are taking some time to remember the real reason for the season, and that you will be spending some time this weekend in reflection on that, or like me, you'll be spending it actually in church on Christmas Eve, and taking a moment to put everything into its proper perspective. I hope that you'll join me in doing that. Coming up on today's show, we have the list of finalists for the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. That email came out this morning, and we've got every finalist who is up for vote and will be announced early next year. So we're going to show you each and every one of those and a short list of all of their accomplishments. And for the folks here at Furman University, Furman is represented a couple of times on that list. We will get into that coming up in just a little bit. So we've got that entire list for you. We also will be giving you some thoughts on the entire early signing day process. That is tomorrow, and it's not a day, it's a signing period, but it's the first time that the sport of football has had an early signing period. So you'll have this one, and then you'll have the regular one in February. I think most coaches are hoping that they can get most of the work done by the time the end of this week is up, and more specifically, by the time about noon tomorrow rolls around. We'll talk about that. Talk about the dynamic, and talk about the different dynamic between a big school, a Power 5 like a Clemson or a Carolina, and a Furman. And I've asked for Dwayne Vaughn, the recruiting coordinator here at Furman, to see if he has time to come up with me. He's not responded yet. If he could come up here, it would be a very interesting conversation to talk about the recruiting process and what it means, and financially what it means to a school like Furman now that there's an early signing day, if they can take full advantage of that. So we'll talk about that one way or the other. Hopefully Dwayne will be able to come up and join us. If not, I'll try to muddle my way through it. And then a lot of other things going on, news and notes-wise. There's always something we can dive into. Of course, the Furman basketball team closes out the non-conference portion of its schedule tomorrow night at Tennessee in a SoCon SEC matchup that will be televised on the SEC network beginning at 9 p.m. That's right, 9 p.m. It's going to be a long, long day tomorrow, which is why I will not be here on Thursday. Okay? Underline that. I'm probably getting home somewhere between 3 and 4 in the morning. I love you folks, but I got to get a little bit of sleep, so I will not be here on Thursday. Friday's kind of up in the air, and then all the following week will be a little spotty as well. We'll try to nail down some definites for you, but I'm going to take the time during a break that we have from games and everything else and try to spend as much time with my family as I possibly can. Because when Furman plays tomorrow night, there's not another basketball game to broadcast until December 30th, which is the conference opener at VMI on that Saturday afternoon. So we'll obviously be checking in a day or two, but I will let you know specifically how many days. And then that plan probably is even apt to change. Nature of the business, especially this time of year. But, come January, we're right back at it full speed, day in and day out. The show, as always, is brought to you by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company. They are the presenting sponsor of the program. My good friend Jeff Massey and all the folks there continue to do such a fantastic job. The people are great. The food is awesome. You know about this time of year with the cold weather, what it means to be able to go in and get a hot bowl of soup or some chili or a hot sandwich or panini, something like that, just a boatload of hot drinks that they have to offer. Full menu available. And don't forget the holiday baked goodies, the breads and the muffins and the cookies and the brownies and everything else. It's just flying off the shelves with Christmas approaching. They've got it all at the Atlanta Bread Company. They're located just down the road from campus here in Cherrydale Plaza. And please stop in and thank them for everything they do for their support of this program. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jeff and the folks at the Atlanta Bread Company. You'll hear more about them in this commercial set. We'll come back and we will dive into the South Carolina Hall of Fame finalist lists on the other side, including a couple of Furman ties. You're listening and watching The Dan Scott Show, and we'll be back right after this.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, we are hanging out with you here on a Tuesday. Another nice day here in the upstate. It was a little overcast yesterday, but very, very nice here today. Not totally and overly cold, but still, grab a jacket on your way out. Take good care of yourself. We want you to be around with us for a while. For no other reason than to visit our sponsors. And one of those is Hall's Chop House in downtown Greenville. The Greenville Steakhouse. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're going to call yourself the anything, you better be able to back it up. And boy, can Hall's do that. Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out of Chicago. That's where the menu starts, and then everything falls into place from there. I tell you, follow them on Twitter. They have the original Hall's Chop House down in Charleston and then the Hall's Greenville. You can find both of those on Twitter. You will see fantastic photos of what some of the dishes look like. People always there celebrating, having a good time. They have an incredible amount of meeting space for your corporate events, still, Christmas parties, whatever the case may be. They have all that meeting space available and the menu to make it worth your while. They're open 7 nights a week and open for brunch on Sundays. Live music all the time when the weather's good, even an outdoor patio for you to take advantage of. It's Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse, conveniently located in downtown Greenville. Please tell them that you heard about them right here on the program. As we continue, there I am. Okay, click the right button. Pays your money and he takes your choice. The South Carolina Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, list of finalists has been released. And the voting is ongoing now, and the finalists will be announced coming up in just a matter of a few weeks. Here is a look at the full list. And this is in alphabetical order, taken directly from the email that they sent. John Abraham, South Carolina product out of Timmonsville. You see all of his pro accolades there and the teams he was with. Art Baker, legendary coach here at Furman for a long time, and also the other stops that he made there. So Furman represented there. Jeff Bostic, the 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Redskins, a Clemson product. Peter Boulware out of Columbia, who went to Florida State and won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Troy Brown, you talk about a guy who had an unlikely career in the NFL. He went to Marshall University, a diminutive receiver, the Barnwell product, and became, in the early days of Tom Brady's rise to stardom, his favorite receiver. And, by the way, 3 Super Bowl championships with Tom Brady. Moving on, Bobby Bryant, second all-time in Minnesota Vikings interception history. South Carolina project from Macon, prospect. Product, how about that word, from Macon, Georgia. Dwight Clark out of Clemson, 2-time Super Bowl champ with the 49ers. Woody Dantzler out of Orangeburg, the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for 2,000 yards, or throw for 2,000 and run for 1,000, rather, in the same season. Todd Ellis, South Carolina, 26 Gamecock records right now, the voice of the Gamecocks. Steve Fuller, an Oklahoma native, but also a Spartanburg product, and, of course, at Clemson, where his jersey was retired. They brought it back out so Deshaun Watson could wear it. First-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs back in '79. The other Furman connection, of course, Bobby Johnson. Columbia product out of Clemson. 2 Southern Conference championships here. Went on, of course, and made Vanderbilt relevant in football, which nobody thought anybody could do that. Paul McGuire, I got to tell you a Paul McGuire story when we're done here. But played at the Citadel. You see there, AFL champion, 40 years in TV commentating at NBC and ESPN. Funny guy. Robert Porcher from Wando in South Carolina State. Willie Scott out of Newberry and the University of South Carolina, first-round pick of the Chiefs. Richard Seymour, a Gadsden product, and went to Georgia, 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champ. A guy named Steve Spurrier, who was, of course, the head coach at South Carolina there for a little while. And Travell Wharton, the Greenville product, went to South Carolina. How about this? Did not allow a sack in a 45-game span in his collegiate career. That's just incredible. It really is. So those are the living candidates. And then they have what's called the legacy finalists. These are finalists who unfortunately have already passed away. And there are 3 of those. Clay Matthews Sr., who's from Charleston, went to Georgia Tech, 4 years in the NFL, and the father of some other guys named Matthews. Clay Jr., Bruce Matthews, grandfather of Clay III, Kevin, Jake, and Casey. Chester McLaughlin, who died back in 2011, the Whiteville, North Carolina product who made such an impact at Clemson. First-round draft choice, 4 times a Pro Bowler. And you see the list of NFL teams he played with. And Dodie Phillips, the Erskine College Bradley product, named best athlete of the first half of the 20th century in the state of South Carolina in 1950. He's already in the Erskine and South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fames. This, of course, is specific to the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. So that's the full list of the finalists, both living and legacy, that are being voted on, and the ones who are voted in will be announced sometime early next month, coming up in just a few weeks. So I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about that, and with the Furman connection there, especially with Art Baker and then Bobby Johnson, 2 very, very significant names in Furman football history. Both had just an incredible amount of success, and both well-deserving candidates. It'll be very intriguing to see how this voting shakes out by the time it's all said and done. But congratulations to all of those who made the finalist lists, and now we'll await and see who will be joining them, or the other members, rather, of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame when that is announced coming up next month. So more about that coming up in just a little bit. When we come back from the break, we want to get into some thoughts on early signing day and how it affects a school like Furman versus how it will affect one of the Power 5 schools like Clemson right down the road, for instance. We'll do that on the other side. Dan Scott Show continuing right after this.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Travelers Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. (10:21) as we continue here on this edition of the Dan Scott Show. Good to have you along with us. With Furman's basketball team heading to Tennessee tomorrow. Good time to remind you this note that Mark Normington dropped on us here in the Facebook comments section that says Furman is now up to number 12 in the collegeinsider.com mid-major top 25. So 9-3 out of the gate and playing very, very well now. 5 consecutive wins, have won 7 of their last 8 games with only that little hiccup to Winthrop in there to break the streak. Outside of Winthrop, the only 2 losses have been to Butler and Duke. Couple of pretty good programs. My comments on online shopping have drawn some response. SoCon John says he hates shopping online as the way to go. But my buddy Ken in Clemson offered a fairly detailed and thoughtful response, which he is apt to do. He said, I like to see what I'm buying, and I like to be able to examine it. I buy a certain amount online, particularly art supplies, but nothing replaces seeing stuff in person. I don't really buy much at Christmas. For one thing, I don't have the money. For another, I've tried to shift more toward the other meanings this time besides getting stuff and giving stuff. Worship, family, rejuvenation, whatever. The shopping mania is a bit of a turnoff to me at this point in my life, meaning the pathological drive just to buy stuff. I celebrate Christmas during the traditional season, from Christmas Eve at midnight to Epiphany. Right now, I celebrate as Advent. So congratulations to Ken for having the thoughtful post of the day. Good news from Dwayne Vaughn. This is I would say live at its best, but we know it's not the best. He can make it. I'm telling him to come on up now. So Dwayne's going to be coming up, and the timing's pretty good because we want to talk about this early signing day and get his thoughts on it. And he's going to tell you some of the things I'm going to kind of preview now, that for schools like Furman, who are at the FCS level, and especially Furman with the other aspect of academics, you're going after a much more narrow field anyway. And this early signing period, I believe, is going to be a benefit for a school like Furman for a myriad of reasons, which Dwayne can explain. But one of those reasons is going to be financially. It's going to be a budget saver because it's basically, if they can get, let's say they've got a 16-player class, and Dwayne will tell us how many it is. But they get a 16-player class. If they get anywhere from 12 to 14 of those kids signed tomorrow on the early signing day, well, that means that when the recruiting period opens back up, they don't have to continue to go chasing and what some coaches call babysitting recruits who have committed, but may want to wait until the very last minute to see if maybe a D1 FBS level school will drop an offer their way if something were to open up. So it gives them a chance to get a little more certainty, and it also keeps them, if they're able to pull it all together, keeps them from having to spend more recruiting budget money going out and babysitting kids who have committed and make sure those commitments are honored. So I think in the grand scheme of things, for a myriad of reasons, which, again, Dwayne will explain further when he gets up here in just a moment, it's going to be a good thing for schools like Furman. I think it's a good thing overall. I know there have been coaches at the FBS level who have debated this thing. Some like it, some don't. I think it's good for the kids because they can sign this thing and they can get it out of the way. They don't have to worry about getting bothered. They can cut that process off 3 months early if they want to, or 2 months early if they want to. They can go ahead and get it done now, get it out of the way, and have a little bit of peace of mind. Now, some, as we know, want to milk the process for all it's worth. And we are going to see the requisite kid sitting there on signing day in February with the 3 hats and putting one on and then throwing it away and putting another one on. And then, the whole circus this has become, or the prospect games in which kids will be announcing their commitments on the sidelines and all of these other things. I just don't have a stomach for it. People who know me, people who remember the old radio show, know that my thoughts on recruiting, I was trying to think of the best way to put this. My thoughts on recruiting are let's judge a class after it's signed and after they've been here 4 or 5 years, and there's really no other way to do it. And I'm certainly not going to sit here, as I used to say on the other shows, and break down and talk about the third string left tackle and all of those things. So I'm not a huge recruiting guy. I just believe that you judge a recruiting class by what it does on the field after it's been at the program for 4 or 5 years, and not before it gets in. Having said that, these guys, Dwayne, Coach Hendricks, his staffs all over the country, they're paid to be talent evaluators. And obviously the best talent evaluators are able to make the best decisions. I'm paid to run my mouth, and I think I do that well. Don't know that everything that comes out of it is always all that great, but as far as the running of the mouth goes, I got that down pretty good. In any event, I'm looking forward to Dwayne getting up here, and I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break and try to get him set and ready to go. Hopefully he'll be up here in just a moment to talk about this and get his thoughts as the recruiting coordinator here at Furman. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we'll return right after this.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
You can party hardy at your next Paladin Tailgate Extravaganza with ABC Party Rentals and Amusements. ABC can set you up with tents, chairs, tables, even Furman table linens to let everyone know your blood runneth purple. How about some inflatables or mechanical rides for the kids to really make it special? ABC Party Rentals is conveniently located near Woodruff Road and I-385. When you tailgate at a Furman football game, do it right with ABC Party Rentals and Amusements. Don't wait. Check them out now at abcgreenville.com.
Dan Scott here to tell you that I have found my breakfast place in the Travelers Rest area, the Hungry Drover. Located at the intersection of Tigerville Road and Highway 290, the Hungry Drover features local eggs, raw milk, homemade breads, and of course their famous gigantic omelets. If it's lunch you crave, check out the barbecue, tomato pie, and the made-from-scratch desserts. And don't forget dinner on Friday nights. Find the full menu and operating hours at hungrydrover.com and like them on Facebook. For catering, call John at 864-901-5040 and enjoy the farm fresh eating experience in the heart of Travelers Rest. That is the Hungry Drover.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at cincyfavorites.com.
right, welcome back to the show. It's the Tuesday edition. It is 10:30 straight up. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us here on the program. Well, we were talking about the early signing day and all of the madness that goes into the world of recruiting anyway, and I thought to myself, you've made a reputation for bringing people on who know much more about things than you do to better explain it than you can. So that's why this young man is here. Dwayne Vaughn is the recruiting coordinator for Furman, and one of only two holdovers from the old staff that Clay Hendricks kept around here when he came in last year and hired his new staff. And I think that worked out pretty well for young Dwayne Vaughn. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just anxiously looking forward to signing day on Wednesday. Excited to finally kind of be able to announce all the guys that we're going to bring in kind of on the first part of our 2018 recruiting class. So, and then just kind of finally getting a chance to kind of do some end of the season wrap up yesterday and today, because as soon as our last game versus Wofford finished, I think we were on the road 2 days later and have kind of been on the road these past 2 weeks.
And it was kind of ironic. At the end of last week, you had just come back in, and you were the only one basically who was in the office. Everybody else was still out doing what they do. Of course, this week I think is a dead period, right?
Correct.
So, and I'll remind our fans that as we talk about the recruiting and the signing day and the process, obviously we can't mention any names until those letters come in tomorrow and are actually signed and in-house. So just remember that. I always like to qualify that for people who may not know that's the case. I'm just curious from the coaching standpoint how this early signing period, first ever for football, how this early signing period has changed, affected what you guys do, if any at all.
Sure. I think it hasn't changed us a ton. I'd say our timeline on, when we decide to offer a kid, when we decide to bring them on official visits. A lot of people choose to do official visits now in December, which we decided against just because, obviously, as we hoped and we were playing in the playoffs, so it's kind of hard to have an official visit when you're, at Burlington, North Carolina, or possibly, on the road. And then also we think what sells Furman is the people. And so these last 2 weekends, a lot of people are having official visits with no students on campus, no professors on campus, and we feel like the people are what really sell Furman. So a lot of the guys that are actually going to sign on Wednesday will actually do their official visit in January. But pretty much all of the guys that will be signing have already been here on an unofficial visit. So they've been around our players, they've been around our coaching staff, seen campus, and kind of got all their questions already answered.
What's the overall view of this coaching staff? I mean, I'll ask you your individual opinion, but in total, because you listen to the debate at the FBS level, the Power 5 guys, and there's some coaches who like the early signing period. There's some coaches who don't like the early signing period. What's the kind of the vibe inside the Furman office about this new signing period?
Sure. I think we all like it just because, we've had, roughly 9 or 10 guys that for a while now, they know where they want to come to college, where they want to play football at. We know that they're our type of guys and that we want them. So, why wait? Instead of having to draw this thing all the way out till February 7th, we can go ahead and make it official tomorrow. It just allows us, to kind of have clarity come Wednesday and not have to keep holding our breath, with some bigger schools potentially coming in on guys later on in January. So it just really clears it up for us. And then after Wednesday, tomorrow, we'll be able to kind of sit down as a staff, receive all our NLIs, and then kind of know, okay, we've got these 4 to 5 spots left, and we can really focus all our attention on those guys come January.
The other thing it does, and I was talking about this before the break, right before you came in, for a school like Furman, the size of Furman, who doesn't have a budget that goes to infinity, the more guys you can lock up in the early signing period, that's less money you have to spend between tomorrow and February the 7th, babysitting some guys who have committed to you, who you hope are going to hold true to that commitment.
Right. And that's absolutely something that's going to be huge for us. And, and in addition to that, I think while recruiting is one of the most important things of college football and college athletics, also that player development. And, as these recruiting rules have changed over the years, with satellite camps and different stuff, it's forced college coaches to be off campus more than they have in the past. So you're not around your players as much. And so something I know we're excited about is the month of January, because we're not dealing with 17 or 18 guys we're trying to sign in February 7th. Now we're going to be here in January with our guys in winter workouts, doing mat drills with them, opposed to in the past, basically the whole month of January, you were gone Monday through Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're doing official visits and you're right back on the road. So, you look up and it's February 7th or 8th, and you've seen your guys once or twice.
Yeah. Now, I want you to qualify something. You're not actually going to be doing the mat drills with the players.
That's correct.
Okay.
Those days are past. Those days are definitely past.
Because if you and some of the other coaches are going to do that, I was going to bring the video camera down. We were going to have some fun with that on the show. This is Dwayne Vaughn. He's the recruiting coordinator, defensive coach here at Furman on Clay Hendricks' staff. And we're talking about the early signing period that starts tomorrow. And we always say signing day, but technically it's a signing period.
Correct. So this signing period is a 72-hour signing period that starts 7 a.m. on Wednesday, December 20th, and runs through all the way through Friday. And like Dan was saying, that most of the guys will send those things in, the NLIs, first thing on Wednesday morning. Obviously, we'll be up bright and early, 7 a.m., sitting by the fax machine, which I think that's the only
I was just going to go there.
I think that's college athletics, I think, are the one organization that's still keeping fax machines in use.
They do have the ability now to scan and email things. What do you get? A few of those?
We do. Last signing day, I think we had the most. I think it was probably about 50-50. And it's always funny every year, that they'll enter one number wrong and the NLI ends up over in the physics department or something, and we have a physics professor bringing it over to us. We're trying to get it tracked down as paranoid college coaches, making sure that all the guys that were planning on signing with us, we in fact did.
Yeah, because you guys wouldn't lose any sleep over anything like that, would you?
No.
If everything goes well, what is the intended size of this class? And if everything goes well tomorrow, what percentage of that class will go ahead and sign early?
Sure. I think we're right around that 17 range in terms of a total class. Which that's about what we hope it to be, maybe a little smaller each year, because just, the type of guy we're looking for, at Furman is pretty special. It's when you combine the academics, the high-level football player, the person who gets the big picture. And I'd say tomorrow, right around that 10 to 11 number. So that'll, leave a couple more, 4 to 5 for us to kind of close out in January.
It's interesting. I was talking about this as well, going off of just what you were talking about there with the academics and everything else that goes into Furman here. The field of kids you're choosing from is significantly narrowed right from the very beginning. So I don't know if it makes it quote unquote easy, but I think maybe it's a little easier because you're not trying to deal with an extremely wide field of athletes who fit what it takes to be a Furman student.
Yeah, I think there's definitely pros and cons to it. I think that's definitely something that it makes it very easy in the process for us to kind of, we know what our cutoff is, both athletically and academically, and character and everything kind of checks out. But at the same time, it definitely makes it a challenge, and I think that's why we like the early signing day period, because there are only so many guys that God has blessed with the size we need, the speed, athleticism, and to couple that with being a great academic student. And the good thing for us is this Southeast region is so fertile with great football players. We pride ourselves on kind of a 5 or 6 hour radius. Not saying we won't go up to the Northeast or, across the Mississippi or up, to the Midwest where Coach Lamondola is from, Ohio, obviously where you're from. But for the most part, I'd say probably over 90% of our roster is within a 6 hour radius. Yeah. And the cool thing about that, if you draw a 6 hour, radius, you're going to hit all the Carolinas. You're going to hit Nashville, Birmingham, Jacksonville, all of Georgia.
Fair amount of football players there.
Yep. So in some pretty high-level football, with a lot of guys signing out of those states.
Ken asked a pretty intriguing question here on our Facebook Live section, and if you have some questions for Coach Vaughn, you can leave them in the comments section on Facebook Live, or you can tweet them to me at Dan Scott Show. But he says he wonders if this might not open more prospects earlier for Furman or other schools at this level, meaning that if more high-profile athletes sign earlier, do others see the writing on the wall at the FBS level and decide to go ahead and move in the FCS direction?
Yeah, I think that's something that's definitely going to, play a role because like you're saying, now there's kind of two distinct signing days. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring in all our guys that sign tomorrow in January on an official visit with those 5 to 7 guys that are unsigned. And so that's what we're going to tell them once they've signed, even though they're not physically here on campus yet taking classes, they're part of the team. So they kind of turn into some of our biggest advocates and biggest recruiters. Mm-hmm. And so now it allows guys making that decision in January to kind of not only evaluate us as a staff, a school, but also, hey, here's the guys they've already signed. They're putting together a very special class.
This is Dwayne Vaughn as we continue to talk about the early signing day and just Furman recruiting overall heading into tomorrow's early signing period that starts at 7 a.m. Explain to folks the duties of a recruiting coordinator at a school like Furman. What's your job like besides, oh, by the way, coaching position and the weekly and game day duties during the season?
Sure. It starts obviously, myself and Coach Hendricks kind of sitting down and, starts with him just kind of what exactly, laying out our strategy, from figuring out the scholarship budget and making sure we sign, right up to the limit, which is 63 scholarships, which is the maximum allowed at the FCS level. So we have 63 scholarships. We can split up to 85 guys. So then it kind of setting up a system to evaluate guys. And then once we evaluate them and deem them worthy of an offer, then we're going to kind of go through the recruiting process. So second step, once you've evaluated them and decided if they're what you want, then it, becomes a part of, getting in touch with them, developing that relationship, which is very important, getting them on campus, getting all their questions answered and that's what's unique about this recruiting process is, it's not that I have any experience in the matter, but it's kind of like when you ask a girl to marry you, you kind of, some people do it right out of high school, some people do it 30 or 40, and everywhere in between. But the thing I always tell kids in this recruiting process is, when you get that feeling of this is where I belong, I feel comfortable, I'm at home, and I don't need to go look anywhere else.
So you're still in the scouting phase when it comes to the whole relationship and marriage thing,
still
right?
in the evaluation, yeah,
or maybe probably still being evaluated if truth were told.
No doubt,
that's usually how it works.
No doubt.
Well, what are the main areas of emphasis in this upcoming class? So where are you hoping to get the most help, or where do you need the most help?
I think defensive back is definitely been probably a big priority out of everything, and then offensively, I think because this is while Coach Hendricks arrived last year, I think about December 20th, and there was no early signing period. We were kind of just scrambling to get the best guys available that were still left out there last year. So it's been every guy we kind of talked to, especially on offense, is kind of, you guys are the first true class of this offensive staff, fitting exactly the type of guys it is we want for the offensive system we run.
So basically you're taking everybody else that you had here already and what you could get in that short period of time and adapting them to the system, as opposed to being able to in effect spend a year recruiting somebody who fits your system.
Yes. And last year when Coach Hendricks came in, we had to make decisions on guys, and obviously he could watch the film from, the previous year, the 2016 year, but, we basically signed a class of guys before Coach Hendricks and everybody on the new staff had even gone through a winter workout with the guys on campus. So it was hard to he had to lean on myself and Coach Bratton very heavily to kind of, be open and honest about what exactly we felt like we, were deficient at, what we, had enough help at. And then, like I said, just try to get out there and sign the best guys, shore up some positions. And then after signing day, found out what we had currently on the roster. So this year just been a lot more intentional with, going through a season, an off season, a spring practice, fall camp, and obviously a great football year. And so just feel like we know exactly what it is our needs are and how to fill all those holes.
The year that this team had the stark turnaround with the new staff and Clay at the top, has that opened any additional doors as far as players that you're going after, you're hoping to sign, or the guys that you had already zeroed in on anyway? And I guess what I'm saying is, does the winning, at least in this small sample size, did this winning season matter at all?
Absolutely. Obviously, Coach Hendrick says it best, recruiting for Furman is kind of like being a Nike salesperson. You've got a great product to offer. And, obviously you want to talk about tradition, third all-time most playoff appearances, one of 2 private schools to win a national championship. I think we're rated 96th on Forbes top 100 college and university across the country.
Not bad.
But on top of that, kids nowadays, everything happens at, 5 inches from their face, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope. And, I was a history major, and I found real quickly when I was student teaching, kids aren't very fired up about history. Kids don't care what happened 20 and 30, 40 years ago. They want to know what's happened now. And I feel like that was really kind of the missing piece here at being the recruiting coordinator the previous 2 years on the old staff was, you could sell, talk about all that stuff, but then the biggest question parents and recruits would ask you, well, what was your record this year? What was your record the previous year? And the big thing about this year, I think that's been so neat to really sell, that I've been, I know selling the heck out of to guys is just our staff. Because if that doesn't speak to player development, going from, 3-8 to a 7-4 regular season where all your all your losses are to either an FBS school or teams that made the 1AA playoffs. So that, and I tell guys all the time, in college football, there's not a waiver wire, and we're not a school that's going to go out and get 10, 15, 20 transfers from JUCOs or 1As. So
no free agents.
Exactly. So, I think that just, really speaks highly about the staff, how well they were able to develop guys, put guys in good positions, and then develop them throughout the course of the year. And I think if you followed our season, you would say, from game 1 to game 11 in the regular season, how fun it was to watch guys really, get better and better and better each week and play your best football at the end of the year.
Before we let you go, if you follow Furman's football page on Twitter, undoubtedly you see what I've seen, and that is from being on the road last week, a lot of coaches in a lot of homes taking a lot of pictures with a lot of prospective athletes. The social media aspect of this thing you mentioned a moment ago, things happening 5 inches from their face, has really been a game changer in the last few years. Everybody wants to announce, I'm blessed to receive my 27th offer from a school that I'll never attend, but thank you very much, and all of this thing. How social media changed what you guys are doing?
I think it's, like you said, especially at a school like Furman, I talk all the time with our coaches just about, we creating our own noise, and what a great platform we have, and obviously have a, awesome fan base that, digest it and also retweets it and gets it out there to their friends and family, and we just, get so much exposure, so that's been great. And one of the things that I really love about this staff, from Coach Hendricks, Coach Quarles, all the way down to myself and some of the younger guys, I mean, top to bottom, I think we're probably one of the most active, complete staffs on social media, which, that's important to kids, because you've got to be able to, relate to them and be able to get in touch with them, whether it's, playing 8-ball, playing pool with them through text messages or, Snapchat or whatever. I mean, there's so many creative ways to get, to use it as a tool, because nowadays kids don't really like talking on the phone. Kids don't think as much about a handwritten letter opposed to getting a, cool Photoshop edit, and that just goes so much farther. So, and, that's been something that, being relatively young, very, familiar with technology, I think I've been able to bring to the table to kind of help us is, being able to relate to the kids and kind of cater to what it is they like.
So all very interesting how things have changed, and this is another one of the reasons why I don't pay attention to recruiting. I leave it to guys like to do the job because, and I said this earlier, it's long been my stance. You have the recruiting services that rate the kids and they rate the classes and all this, and I get it. I do. It's an industry. I just have this novel approach, Dwayne, that you can't really judge a recruiting class or judge a player until they've been in the school for 4 or 5 years. Absolutely. As opposed. But the flip side of it is people like you, people like Coach Hendricks and the entire staff, you're also paid to be talent evaluators. Sure. So, I mean, there is a little bit to both sides of the coin.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think a lot of times, their staffs out there, they get caught up in that, we signed this many 3-stars or that. But, like I said, we're just big on not only on top of being a good player, but making sure those intangibles check out. Because when you only get 63 scholarships at our level, it's important to make sure, you're not, quote unquote, missing on a guy that's going to come here and, use a scholarship and not play for those 4 to 5 years, where obviously you signed 63, you've only got 11 starters on offense, 11 on defense. But you want to make sure that you develop quality depth, and you've got guys that are, working while they're waiting. They may be back, for example, Jamar Lincoln, came in, redshirted this year. Obviously, PJ had a great year, and, now him coming off a redshirt year, he helped us a ton on scout team. I think back to the Western Carolina week. And, so just that player development at our level, I think, is just so key. And just like you said, you won't truly know until we kind of say, a kid's in our program a year or two before you kind of, know, because we're not going to sign the 5-star ready-made players that could probably go on, to the NFL straight out of high school, like the Clemsons of the world.
Last thing, I'm sure we can go ahead and announce this one because he's a young man who's been around here for a while, but maybe the biggest piece to this recruiting class coming back is a young man who has decided to come back for his redshirt senior season next year, right?
Yes. So the one, we don't have to wait on the NLI for tomorrow, but number 21, Keelan Dirks, will be back in the purple and white next year, which I think will have a lot of fans very excited. I know as a defensive staff, it has us very excited because, I think back to the Chattanooga game, actually was down there breaking it down a little bit ago, and it's 41-17 with about 6-7 minutes to go, and we're just ripping off 5, 6, 7 yards of carry, and our guys are sitting on the sideline sipping on Gatorade, just kind of waiting for those final seconds to tick off the clock. That's a fun thing as a defensive coach, something I haven't been used to in a while around here. And I think the fans are used to kind of getting back to, that power run game, and it starts between the tackles and having a hoss of a running back. A lot of people kind of put him in the same mold as a Jerome Felton.
Yeah, it's been very interesting to watch kind of a little bit of a change in this young man because it was no guarantee at season's beginning he was going to come back. I mean, let's face it, first 3 games of the year, even 4 games of the year, you even go to the Colgate game, he wasn't much of a factor, if any, in this offense. But I know it was a handful of carries at the end of the NC State game and in week 3 that people looked at and said, man, if we could just get this kid motivated.
Yeah.
And look what happened after that.
Yeah. And, I think, once again, that goes back to, our coaching staff, and it starts with Coach Sims, who played that exact same position, at Georgia Tech. I think he's actually technically our youngest coach on staff, and just, like I said, just the motivation and getting, every last drop out of, our players. And that's something, he's one that stands out, but I think you could go right down the list at all positions of guys that I've been around for the past 3 or 4 years. And, this year you just got so much more out of them that you knew they had in them. Maybe they didn't think they had it, or, you had to kind of get them going, or, but that's what's been really cool and rewarding to kind of see this thing through from remembering signing these guys out of high school and watching them, develop and not having the success they probably wanted as a team or even individual, and finally kind of reaping that reward this year.
Well, it was a heck of a season. There's no question about it. And now the only thing you have to do is be better next year. Because that's the way it works.
There's
There's no going back. It's like sales. You know, you did this much last year, so you always have to do more the next year. But it's been fun and looking to see what this next group of Paladins is going to look like. And I know that you've been working your rear end off, and as has the whole staff. And I'm very confident it's going to reap the rewards.
Yes, sir. So now we're very, very excited, like I said, to just keep the momentum going. You know, we talk about the flywheel model, that once you get it turned, and that's what we talked about it in season. You know, felt like we were right there, knocking on the door of those first 2 weeks. And I remember going up to Colgate, and it was like, guys, we just gotta, you don't know how close you are. That one more punch, that one more hit of the axe is going to burst through, and that was what was really cool to see. Yep. And just carry a lot of that momentum from the end of the year straight into recruiting. And like I said, there's lots of people I know, both players that we're recruiting out of high school, that are fired up about kind of what it is we're doing here, as well as alumni, fans, former players.
Sounds like the coaches are a little fired up about it too.
Oh yeah, I'm very fired up. Like I said, just enjoy. We got a great group of guys. Great. It's a pleasure to come to work every day. Whether it's December 19th, we've got our Christmas party tonight, and then we'll have our signing day, and then get out of here for about 2 weeks. Come back on January 4th. But just very, very, very excited about kind of what's going on here.
Excellent. Thank you, man.
No problem. Thank you.
That is Dwayne Vaughn, the recruiting coordinator here at Furman. Thank you for joining us on such short notice. All right, when we come back, we'll quickly reset the Aiken Family Fundraiser for you and say our goodbye for this Tuesday. Dan Scott Show continues right after this.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HURT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HURT.
There's a reason why year after year more people trust Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, C-Dan Joyner Realtors, to get the job done. It's because we deliver the highest level of real estate services with the utmost integrity, quality, and professionalism. We love what we do, and it shows in every transaction. We've been the undisputed upstate market leader for over 20 years because we do what's right. We handle every transaction with a smile, and we're committed to making your home journey the best it can be. For your best move ever, contact Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. C-Dan Joyner Realtors today. Visit cdanjoyner.com and let's get started.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show. All right, welcome back to the show. Good to have you with us. Our thanks to Dwayne Vaughn for joining us here on the program. And forgive me, I'm typing something up right now so I can tweet it out and get it to you and everybody else about what I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. But good stuff from Coach Vaughn, and I think that's good for our fans and really just football fans in general, whether you're a Furman fan per se or a fan of another school and a fan of school at this level or this level, to kind of get an insight as to the differences, what the early signing period is going to mean for Furman as opposed to somebody else. That's good stuff from Coach Dwayne Vaughn. All right, what I want to do now is close the show by reminding you again about the fundraiser that we continue to push and will continue to push through the end of the year and maybe beyond, because it's not just a holiday season need. But this is my good friend Joel Aiken and his family, his wife Jillian, and his son Elijah, who's 11. Joel, wheelchair-bound, born with cerebral palsy, has not let that stop him from making an impact. He is a preacher. He is a people person. He is a helper. He has done so much for so many other people. But obviously, because of his physical issues, his ability to work in secular jobs is somewhat limited, and his health changes from time to time. So it's been very difficult for him. Jillian has been the one who's been the breadwinner supporting the family. Well, she has come down with a heart issue and is unable to work. And as you might imagine, it has caused them some significant and serious financial circumstances. They have as I said, the young son. They have medical expenses that are growing by the day. They have day-to-day living expenses. And oh, by the way, it's Christmas. And I want to be careful on how I do this, because I'm not necessarily a go over the top, pull on your emotional heartstrings type of guy. When I bring something to you, there is a legitimate need. And that's what I want to impress here. And yeah, look, I want the young man to have a fantastic Christmas. So if that's the only reason you give to this family is to make sure that Elijah has a good Christmas, then God bless you. Go for it. Do it. But the need will go beyond Christmas, is the point that I'm trying to get across here. The need is going to be ongoing for some time. And the modest $4,200 goal that's been set up on the You Caring page, quite honestly, is just a drop in the bucket. But unfortunately, we're not even halfway to that goal yet. It's still stuck at $975. I have put the link to the You Caring page, again, pinned to the Facebook comment section for those of you who are watching the show live now. And I just put it out on my other social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The link is there. You can go to the You Caring page. You can donate. And all of the money you donate, 100%, goes directly to this family, to this fundraiser. You Caring, the way it works, from my understanding, there's also a place where you can give them, You Caring, a tip if you want to help support what they do. But none of the money you give for the Aiken Family Fundraiser goes anywhere except to the Aiken family. So please, as we look, again, $975 towards that $4,200 goal, folks, I implore you, as I've said, there's no such thing as a donation that's too small, whether it's $5, whether it's $10, whatever the case may be. Would we love the 100, the 500, the 1,000? Daggone right we would. And I know that there's probably some of those out there, but it's my job to communicate to you that it doesn't matter what you give, just as long as you give. And I know that this time of year and really all year round, there are all kinds of people trying to get into your pocketbook. There are all kinds of people trying to get into your wallet, and many of them are fantastic causes. This is one that's close to my heart, and that's why I'm bringing it to you. So please consider giving to the Aiken Family Fundraiser, and let's help this family in a very, very difficult time for them right now. As again, Jillian is the only one who's able to work in the family, and with this heart condition that she's come down with, she can't. Medical bills, day-to-day living expenses, Christmas, it's all right there for them, and they need your help. So the link to donate is on the Facebook Live comment section. I tweeted it out. It's on all my social media. I just did it right when we came back from the break. So please go to the You Caring page, donate to this cause, and let's help make a difference for this family, not just for the Christmas season, but for beyond, because the need is going to be ongoing. Having said that, I appreciate your time, appreciate your attention. Thanks to Dwayne Vaughn for joining us. We'll be back with you here tomorrow to do a little more work in this week leading into Christmas, including previewing the Furman, Tennessee game in Knoxville tomorrow night, 9 o'clock start. Thank you, SEC Network, for getting me back home at about 4 o'clock on Thursday morning. But that's the way it works. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, I'm Dan Scott. God bless you all. So long, everybody.